When the body goes silent, the soul speaks. It's in the stillness, in the quiet moments when the world fades away, that you truly begin to hear yourself. Not the noise of fear, not the echo of doubt, but the voice of your own soul, clear, honest, and unshakable. Most people run from silence because they're afraid of what they might hear. But those who embrace it discover strength, purpose, and answers they never knew they had. In this video, we'll step into that silence together and unlock the wisdom that's been waiting for you all along. The power of stillness. We live in a world that glorifies movement. We celebrate those who hustle the hardest, grind the longest, and stay in constant motion. And while movement has its place, here's the truth most people don't realize. Motion without direction is chaos. You can spend your life running, yet end up going nowhere. That's why the most powerful thing you can sometimes do is stop. Stillness is not weakness. It is not laziness. It's a deliberate pause, a conscious decision to silence the outer world so you can hear the inner one. Think about it. A stormy ocean can't reflect the sky. Only when the water becomes still does it reveal clarity. The same is true for your mind and soul. When you allow your body to rest and your thoughts to settle, something incredible happens. Your true self begins to emerge. Most of us fear stillness because we associate it with being unproductive. We think, if I'm not doing something, I'm wasting time. But what if I told you that stillness is one of the most productive states you can be in? Because it's in the stillness that ideas are born. It's in the stillness that your intuition becomes loud enough to guide you. It's in the stillness that you remember who you really are beneath all the noise. When the body goes silent, you can finally hear the quiet voice of your soul, clear, calm, and honest. This voice is not rushed. It does not shout. It doesn't compete with the chaos of the world. It waits. It waits for you to slow down enough to listen. And when you do, you realize that stillness is not emptiness. It's fullness without noise. Think about the most profound moments in your life, those flashes of realization, those deep inner truths. They didn't come when you were racing from task to task. They came in the shower during a quiet walk, late at night when the world was sleeping. That's the power of stillness. It creates space for truth to arrive. And here's the thing. Stillness is a discipline. It's something you choose to practice. In a society built on distraction, choosing silence is an act of rebellion. It's saying, I will not let the world dictate my pace. I will not let noise define my reality. The power of stillness is that it transforms you from the inside out. It strengthens your mind, calms your emotions, and aligns your spirit. It helps you see beyond the surface and connect with the deeper meaning of your life. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, drained, or lost, don't run faster. Instead, stop, breathe, be still. Because in that stillness, the soul speaks. And when it does, it will tell you everything you've been searching for. Listening to the unheard. When was the last time you truly listened? Not to the words around you, but to the voice within you. We hear thousands of sounds every single day. Conversations, notifications, traffic, music, television. Yet the most important voice of all often gets drowned out. The voice of your soul. The one that knows your fears, your hopes, your dreams, and your truth. Most people don't ignore this voice because they don't care. They ignore it because they've forgotten how to hear it. Life has a way of pulling our attention outward, onto responsibilities, deadlines, and the expectations of others. We're taught from childhood to pay attention to what's outside of us, but no one teaches us to pay attention to what's inside of us. And so we go through life collecting advice, chasing validation, following trends, hoping someone else will tell us who we are or what we should do. But the answers are already inside you. They've always been there. The problem is, you can't hear them over the constant noise of the world. When the body goes silent, the soul finally has the space to speak. And what it says may surprise you. It may tell you truths you've been avoiding. It may remind you of dreams you've buried. It may nudge you toward changes you've been too afraid to make. But whatever it says, it will be honest. The soul does not lie. Listening to the unheard is not always comfortable. Silence has a way of bringing up the things we've been running from: pain, regret, disappointment. But that's exactly why it's so powerful. You cannot heal what you refuse to acknowledge. You cannot change what you pretend isn't there. Stillness forces you to face yourself, and in doing so, it gives you the power to transform. It's like tuning a radio. When there's too much static, you can't hear the music clearly. But the moment you adjust the dial, the noise fades and the melody comes through. Your life works the same way. You have to adjust your focus, clear out the static, and tune into your soul's frequency. That's when the real guidance comes. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes. At first, you might only hear faint whispers, but over time, those whispers turn into clarity, clear guidance on what you truly want, what you truly value, and what path is right for you. Remember, the soul is always speaking. It's not a question of whether it's talking. It's a question of whether you're listening. And the only way to truly listen is to create space for silence. The battle with distraction. We live in an age where distraction isn't just present, it's constant. Notifications buzzing, screens flashing, news updating every second, and 100 voices competing for our attention. It's no wonder so many people feel disconnected from themselves. The mind is like a room filled with echoes, every sound bouncing around until it becomes impossible to hear the original voice. And in that chaos, the voice of your soul gets lost. This is the battle we all face, not against one big enemy, but against 1,000 little ones. Every ping on your phone, every unnecessary scroll, every meaningless argument online. They all pull you further away from yourself. And the scary thing is, most of these distractions are disguised as important. They make you feel busy, but busyness is not the same as purpose. The soul needs stillness to breathe. But when your life is filled with noise, it's like trying to hear a whisper in the middle of a thunderstorm. That's why so many people walk through life feeling restless, anxious, or unfulfilled, because they've never learned to step out of the storm. Here's the truth. Distraction is not harmless. It's a thief. It steals your focus, your time, and your connection to yourself. The more you give into it, the weaker your inner voice becomes. It's like a muscle. If you don't use it, it grows faint. And eventually you wake up one day wondering, why do I feel so lost? But here's the good news. This battle can be won. You win it not by trying to control the noise of the world, but by controlling your own environment and habits. By choosing moments in your day to disconnect from the external so you can reconnect with the internal. This is why disciplines like meditation, deep breathing, journaling, or simply sitting quietly without a phone are so powerful. They're not about doing nothing. They're about creating space where the soul's voice can finally be heard. And make no mistake, when you begin to fight distraction, it will fight back. You'll feel an urge to check your phone. You'll think about the tasks you should be doing. You might even feel uncomfortable in the silence. But if you push through that discomfort, something beautiful happens. The storm begins to fade. The echoes quiet down. And you start to hear something else. Something deeper. The steady, grounded truth of who you are. The battle with distraction isn't just about productivity. It's about identity. The more you silence the noise, the more you remember yourself. And in that remembering, you find strength, clarity, and peace that no distraction can ever give you. Embracing the stillness. It sounds so simple, yet for many people it's one of the hardest things to face. We think of stillness as doing nothing, but in reality, it is one of the most powerful states of being. Stillness is not the absence of life, it's the doorway to a deeper life. When the body becomes still, the noise of movement fades, and we begin to notice things that were always there, but drowned out by constant activity. We start to feel the rhythm of our own breathing, the weight of our heartbeat, the subtle rise and fall of our thoughts. And if we stay long enough in that quiet, something magical happens. The external world steps back, and the internal world steps forward. But here's why stillness is uncomfortable for so many. It forces us to meet ourselves without distraction. In movement, we can run from our fears. In noise, we can drown out our regrets. But in stillness, there is nowhere to hide. All the truths we've been avoiding come to the surface, and that's why most people keep running, because they're afraid of what the silence might reveal. Yet the truth is, you cannot heal what you refuse to face. You cannot grow if you refuse to look inward. Stillness is the mirror that shows you not just your reflection, but your reality. It shows you the wounds that need mending, the dreams that need reviving, and the strengths you've forgotten you had. Embracing stillness is like standing at the edge of a vast, quiet lake. At first, the water is stirred by winds, your restless mind, your scattered thoughts. But if you wait patiently, the winds settle and the surface becomes like glass. Only then can you see the reflection clearly. That's what happens inside you when you give yourself the gift of true stillness. And this stillness doesn't always have to be found in meditation or retreats. It can be as simple as taking 5 minutes in the morning to sit quietly with a cup of tea. It can be walking without headphones and letting nature's sounds be your only music. It can be lying in bed before sleep and letting your breath slow without scrolling through a glowing screen. Stillness is a skill, and like any skill, it strengthens with practice. The more you allow it into your life, the more you'll crave it. Not as an escape from the world, but as a way to return to yourself. When the body goes silent and you embrace the stillness, the soul speaks in a voice that is steady, unshakable, and filled with truth. And in that truth lies the wisdom, peace, and direction you've been searching for all along. Listening to the whisper within. The soul doesn't speak in shouts. It doesn't demand your attention with blaring alarms or flashing signs. It speaks in whispers, gentle, patient, and always there, waiting for you to be ready to hear it. But in a noisy world, those whispers are easy to miss. We are trained to listen to everything outside of us, opinions, expectations, trends, and the constant hum of society telling us who to be and what to do. And over time, that quiet inner voice can become so faint that we mistake its absence for silence. But it's never truly gone. It's just waiting for you to lean in close enough to hear it again. That whisper is not random. It's your compass. It's the part of you that knows when you're on the wrong path even before you realize it. It's the voice that nudges you toward opportunities, warns you against dangers, and encourages you to take leaps of faith you didn't think you could handle. The problem is, we often ignore it because it doesn't always align with what's comfortable. Listening to the whisper within requires trust, and trust is hard when the world teaches us to doubt ourselves. But here's the truth. That whisper is more loyal to your well-being than any outside opinion will ever be. It knows you better than anyone else because it is you, the purest, most unfiltered version of you. Think about it. How many times in your life did you feel that subtle pull, that quiet sense that something was right for you, and you ignored it? How many times did you feel deep down that something was wrong, but you pushed forward anyway? And how often did you later realize the whisper was right? The more you honor that voice, the louder it becomes. The more you act on its guidance, the more confident you become in your own intuition. This is why silence is so vital. It gives that whisper space to speak, without the constant chatter of distractions. You can finally hear what your soul has been saying all along. Practical ways to reconnect with it are simple but powerful. Spend a few minutes each day asking yourself, what do I truly feel right now? And wait for the answer without judgment. Write down thoughts that come to you in moments of stillness. Often, the first words you write are the truest. Pay attention to how your body reacts to certain choices. Your soul often speaks through physical feelings like ease, tension, or excitement. When you start listening to the whisper within, you realize it's not just guiding you, it's protecting you, empowering you, and leading you toward a life that feels aligned and alive. Because the most important conversations you will ever have are the ones you have with yourself in the quiet. Listening to the whisper within. The soul doesn't speak in shouts. It doesn't demand your attention with blaring alarms or flashing signs. It speaks in whispers, gentle, patient, and always there, waiting for you to be ready to hear it. But in a noisy world, those whispers are easy to miss. We are trained to listen to everything outside of us, opinions, expectations, trends, and the constant hum of society telling us who to be and what to do. And over time, that quiet inner voice can become so faint that we mistake its absence for silence. But it's never truly gone. It's just waiting for you to lean in close enough to hear it again. That whisper is not random. It's your compass. It's the part of you that knows when you're on the wrong path even before you realize it. It's the voice that nudges you toward opportunities, warns you against dangers, and encourages you to take leaps of faith you didn't think you could handle. The problem is, we often ignore it because it doesn't always align with what's comfortable. Listening to the whisper within requires trust, and trust is hard when the world teaches us to doubt ourselves. But here's the truth. That whisper is more loyal to your well-being than any outside opinion will ever be. It knows you better than anyone else because it is you, the purest, most unfiltered version of you. Think about it. How many times in your life did you feel that subtle pull, that quiet sense that something was right for you, and you ignored it? How many times did you feel deep down that something was wrong, but you pushed forward anyway? And how often did you later realize the whisper was right? The more you honor that voice, the louder it becomes. The more you act on its guidance, the more confident you become in your own intuition. This is why silence is so vital. It gives that whisper space to speak, without the constant chatter of distractions. You can finally hear what your soul has been saying all along. Practical ways to reconnect with it are simple but powerful. Spend a few minutes each day asking yourself, what do I truly feel right now? And wait for the answer without judgment. Write down thoughts that come to you in moments of stillness. Often, the first words you write are the truest. Pay attention to how your body reacts to certain choices. Your soul often speaks through physical feelings like ease, tension, or excitement. When you start listening to the whisper within, you realize it's not just guiding you, it's protecting you, empowering you, and leading you toward a life that feels aligned and alive. Because the most important conversations you will ever have are the ones you have with yourself in the quiet. Strength born from silence. Many people misunderstand silence as weakness. They think that if you're not speaking, not reacting, or not constantly proving yourself, you're somehow powerless. But the truth is the opposite. Real strength is often born in silence. It's in those moments when you step back, quiet the noise, and turn inward that you build the kind of resilience the outside world can't shake. When the body goes silent, you create space for your mind and spirit to grow stronger. You're no longer reacting out of impulse. You're choosing your response from a place of clarity. That's power. The loudest person in the room isn't the strongest. The one who can remain calm, even in chaos, holds the real control. Silence teaches you patience. It shows you that not everything requires an immediate reaction. In a world that pressures you to do something right now, stillness becomes your quiet rebellion. You learn to let the storm pass without letting it drag you into its chaos. Over time, this patience hardens into mental toughness. You stop being rattled by every challenge, every criticism, every unpredictable turn life throws at you. And here's the beautiful part. Silence doesn't just make you stronger, it makes you smarter. When you're not busy filling every gap with words or actions, you have the chance to observe, to think, to see the bigger picture. You notice details you would have missed. You catch opportunities others overlook because they're too distracted by the noise. Think of the great warriors, leaders, and thinkers in history. The most powerful among them were not those who reacted emotionally to every challenge, but those who could pause, assess, and act with precision. That ability doesn't come from constant activity. It comes from cultivating an inner stillness where your decisions aren't clouded by panic or ego. In silence, you also learn a critical truth. Not every battle is worth fighting, and not every opinion deserves your energy. This selective focus protects your strength from being wasted. You stop chasing validation and start choosing where your time, energy, and emotions go. That's when you become unshakable, not because you never feel fear or doubt, but because you've learned to master them. Silence builds emotional endurance. You face yourself without distraction. You confront the discomfort of waiting. You train your mind to sit with uncertainty instead of forcing quick answers. These are the same qualities that carry you through life's toughest moments, the breakup that shatters you, the failure that bruises your ego, the loss that leaves you breathless. In the quiet, you realize you're stronger than you ever imagined. So the next time life pushes you to react instantly, choose differently. Step into the silence. Let it steady you. Let it sharpen you. Remember, strength isn't about being louder, faster, or more aggressive. True strength is being able to stand in the storm without letting it move you. And that strength is forged in silence. Clarity that cuts through the noise. One of the most powerful gifts silence offers is clarity. We live in a world that thrives on distraction. Notifications popping up every few seconds, endless scrolling, constant updates, and an overwhelming flood of opinions from people who don't even know us. In this environment, it's easy to lose sight of who you are and what you truly want. But when the body goes silent, the fog begins to lift, and you see yourself and your path with sharper focus than ever before. Clarity isn't something you can force. You can't think your way into it while multitasking or rushing through life. Clarity arrives when you create space, mental and emotional breathing room where your thoughts can settle. Just like muddy water becomes clear if you leave it undisturbed, your mind becomes clear when you give it time and stillness. In that quiet, you start to notice patterns. You see the habits that are helping you and the ones that are hurting you. You become aware of relationships that nourish your soul and those that drain it. You realize which goals are truly yours and which ones you've been chasing only because someone else told you that you should. This kind of awareness is life-changing because once you see the truth, you can no longer ignore it. Clarity also reveals the difference between urgency and importance. In the noise of everyday life, everything feels urgent. Emails, calls, texts, deadlines. But when you step into silence, you realize most of these things are not actually important. What matters most often gets buried under what demands your immediate attention. Stillness helps you dig it back up. This is where purpose begins to crystallize. Purpose isn't found in a single lightning bolt moment. It's uncovered piece by piece as you strip away the distractions and tune into your inner voice. In silence, you start to hear what truly matters to you. Not to your family, not to society, not to your boss, but to your soul. And that's when you can begin aligning your life with that truth. With clarity comes decisiveness. Decisions that once felt overwhelming become simpler because you know what you stand for. You stop second-guessing yourself because your choices aren't based on fear, doubt, or the need to please others. They're based on a clear vision of your path forward. And here's the key. Clarity is not a one-time achievement. It's something you must keep nurturing, because the noise will always try to creep back in. That's why creating regular moments of silence isn't just a nice idea. It's a necessity. It's your way of cleaning the mental lens, so you can keep seeing life as it truly is. When you live with clarity, you move differently. You speak with intention. You choose your battles wisely. You protect your energy fiercely. And in a world where most people are running blindly, your clarity becomes your greatest advantage. Reconnecting with your true self. Silence doesn't just bring clarity, it brings you back to yourself. In the rush of daily life, you can lose touch with who you really are. You get caught up in roles, employee, partner, parent, friend. And slowly, without realizing it, your identity becomes a reflection of other people's needs and expectations. But when the body goes silent and the noise of the outside world fades, you begin to hear the voice of your true self again. This isn't the self that's shaped by what people think of you. This isn't the self that's obsessed with likes, approval, or validation. This is the self that existed before the world told you who to be. The self that knows your deepest desires, your quiet fears, and your unshakable values. Reconnecting with yourself takes courage, because sometimes, when you meet yourself again in the silence, you realize how far you've drifted from who you wanted to be. You might see compromises you made that still weigh on your heart. You might remember dreams you've been avoiding because you convinced yourself they were impossible. But here's the beauty. Awareness is the first step to returning home to yourself. In silence, you give yourself permission to listen without judgment. You start asking yourself questions you may have been avoiding. What do I truly want from life? Am I living in alignment with my values? Who am I when no one is watching? And the answers that come are not always comfortable, but they are always honest. Reconnection also means learning to trust yourself again. In the noise of the world, it's easy to hand over your decisions to others, friends, family, influencers, or even strangers. But in the stillness, you remember that your intuition, your gut feeling, is one of the most powerful guides you have. You realize that you've always had the ability to make the right choices. You just needed to have courage to trust them. Another powerful thing happens when you reconnect with yourself. Self-compassion deepens. When you're constantly busy, you tend to be harsher on yourself, measuring your worth only by what you achieve. But in silence, you start seeing yourself as a whole person, not just a list of accomplishments or mistakes. You see your efforts, your resilience, your quiet strengths. You realize that you are worthy not because of what you do, but because of who you are. And once you've reconnected with yourself, the outside world loses some of its power over you. Criticism doesn't cut as deep. Rejection doesn't define you. Approval doesn't control you. Because now you're rooted in something stronger, your own truth. When you live from this place of self-connection, your choices become authentic, your relationships become more real, and your life starts to feel like it's truly yours. And that perhaps is the greatest gift silence can give, awakening the inner guide. Once you've reconnected with your true self, something extraordinary begins to happen. You start to awaken your inner guide. This is the part of you that has always been there, quietly whispering directions, nudging you towards certain choices, and warning you against others. But in the noise of everyday life, its voice is often drowned out by fear, logic, or the opinions of others. Silence is the key that unlocks this inner guidance system. When the external chatter fades, your awareness turns inward, and you begin to hear this voice more clearly. It's not dramatic or forceful. It's subtle, calm, and deeply certain. It doesn't shout over your thoughts. It sits beneath them, offering a steady current of truth. This awakening is deeply spiritual, even if you don't consider yourself a spiritual person. It's about feeling connected to something greater than yourself, whether you call it God, the universe, your higher self, or simply the wisdom of life itself. It's the realization that you are not alone, that there is an intelligent force guiding you toward your best path if you are willing to listen. And listening requires trust, because sometimes your inner guide will tell you to take a step that doesn't make sense to your rational mind. It might urge you to leave a job that feels safe but suffocates your soul. It might tell you to forgive someone you feel justified in resenting. It might even guide you toward a dream that seems too big, too risky, or too unrealistic. But when you follow it, you find that it leads you exactly where you need to be. In this stage, you also start to notice synchronicities. Small, meaningful coincidences that feel like signs you're on the right track. You think of someone, and they call you. You stumble upon a book or a conversation that gives you the answer you've been searching for. You meet a person who changes the course of your life. These moments aren't random. They are the language of your inner guide speaking through the world around you. Another aspect of awakening this inner wisdom is recognizing the difference between your ego's voice and your soul's voice. The ego is loud, impatient, and rooted in fear. It wants control, approval, and safety. The soul's voice is calm, patient, and rooted in love. It wants growth, truth, and fulfillment. Silence helps you distinguish between the two, so you no longer confuse fear with intuition. And perhaps most importantly, once your inner guide is awake, you stop living reactively and start living intentionally. You no longer drift through life responding to whatever comes your way. You move with purpose, making choices that align with your higher calling. When you reach this level, life feels less like a random sequence of events and more like a guided journey. You trust the path, even when you can't see the entire map, because deep down you know, the voice within will never lead you astray. Turning silence into daily power. Silence is not meant to be experienced only in rare moments of retreat or during an occasional meditation session. True transformation happens when you take the lessons from silence and weave them into your everyday life, when stillness stops being an escape and starts becoming your strength. Think of silence like a muscle. The more you practice it, the stronger it gets. The more you return to it, the easier it becomes to tap into it, even when chaos is swirling around you. This is how you carry calm into the busiest of days and keep your center in the middle of storms. One of the first ways to turn silence into power is to start your day with it. Even just 5 to 10 minutes in the morning, sitting quietly, breathing deeply, and checking in with yourself can shift the tone of your entire day. Instead of waking up and diving straight into messages, notifications, or to-do lists, you begin your day with presence. You set the intention to act rather than react, to move through the world from a place of inner clarity instead of outer pressure. Another way to make silence a daily power tool is by practicing micro-pauses. These are short, intentional moments of stillness you take throughout the day, before answering a challenging email, before making a big decision, or even before responding in a heated conversation. In those brief pauses, you reconnect with your breath, your body, and your inner guide. Those few seconds can mean the difference between reacting emotionally and responding wisely. Silence also teaches you the art of observation. Instead of rushing to fill every moment with action or words, you begin to listen more deeply. Not just to others, but to the subtleties of life itself. You notice patterns, moods, and opportunities that most people overlook. This heightened awareness gives you an edge in relationships, work, and personal growth. Importantly, turning silence into power doesn't mean becoming passive or withdrawn. It's about learning how to act from a place of strength, not impulse. You become like a skilled martial artist who doesn't waste energy swinging wildly but moves with precision, because every move is intentional. Over time, you'll notice a shift. Stress won't rattle you as much. Distractions won't pull you as easily. Criticism won't pierce as deeply, and praise won't inflate your ego. You'll start to operate from a place of grounded confidence, because your sense of self no longer depends on external noise. In this way, silence becomes more than just a quiet moment. It becomes a constant companion, a hidden power source you can draw on any time. And when you live like this, the world can throw storms your way, but you'll remain unshaken, anchored by the strength that only silence can give. Living in alignment with your soul. When silence becomes your daily power, a natural shift begins to unfold. You start living in alignment with your soul. This is not about perfection or following some rigid set of rules. It's about moving through life in a way that feels true, authentic, and deeply connected to who you really are. Living in alignment means your thoughts, words, and actions are no longer at war with each other. You're not forcing yourself to be someone you're not, and you're not chasing goals that don't matter to your deeper purpose. Instead, your life starts to feel coherent, as though every decision is part of a bigger picture that actually makes sense. One of the clearest signs you're aligned is that you stop feeling the need to constantly seek validation from others. You still value relationships and feedback, but your sense of worth no longer depends on approval. You start making decisions based on what feels right internally, not what looks good externally. Another sign is that life feels less like you're pushing against resistance and more like you're flowing with it. This doesn't mean challenges disappear. It means you handle them with a calm certainty, knowing they're part of your growth. You stop seeing obstacles as proof you're on the wrong path and start seeing them as training grounds for your soul. When you live in alignment, you also begin to experience a sense of fulfillment that isn't tied to achievements alone. Yes, you still work hard, pursue goals, and dream big, but you understand that the real reward is in how you live every day. Peace, integrity, and purpose become the true measures of success. Relationships also transform. You naturally attract people whose values and energy align with yours, and you drift away from connections that drain or misalign with your truth. This isn't because you're cutting people out in bitterness, it's because your energy naturally aligns you with those who match your vibration. Perhaps most importantly, alignment with your soul gives you resilience. Even when the world tries to pull you in 100 directions, you know how to come back to yourself. You've built a relationship with that inner voice in silence, and now it guides you like a compass through every storm. At this point, you're not just visiting silence, you're living from it. Your actions, words, and even your presence carry the power of stillness. You become someone others naturally feel calm and inspired around because you radiate authenticity. This is the ultimate gift of silence. It doesn't just change how you feel, it changes how you live and how you show up in the world. And when you live this way, you're not just existing, you're fulfilling the purpose your soul has been whispering to you all along. The final call into the silence. We began this journey by stepping into a space that most people avoid, the space where the body grows still and the noise of the outside world fades away. Along the way, we discovered that silence is not emptiness, it's fullness. It's not absence, it's presence. It's the space where the loudest truths are spoken without a single word. When the body goes silent, the soul finally has a chance to speak. And what it tells you is not random. It's the purest expression of your deepest self. It reminds you of who you are beneath the layers of fear, noise, and expectation. It calls you back to your purpose, your values, your truth. But here's the thing. Silence is not just a place you visit when you need a break. It's a place you can live from. It can be your power source, your compass, your anchor. When you learn to access it at will, life changes. You're no longer at the mercy of chaos. You become the calm in the storm. Pain will still come. Disappointment will still knock on your door. The world will still be loud and demanding. But when you've learned to listen to your soul, those things no longer control you. They pass through you without breaking you. You respond instead of react. You stand instead of crumble. Remember, silence is not weakness. It's strength in its purest form. Anyone can shout, anyone can react, anyone can drown in noise. But it takes real courage to be still, to listen, and to act from that inner knowing. That's the strength of warriors, leaders, and those who live with unshakable peace. So the invitation is simple. Don't run from silence. Step into it. Make it your ally. Let it strip away what is false and strengthen what is true. Let it tune your life to a frequency that is clear, powerful, and completely your own. If you can do this, if you can master the art of listening when the body goes silent, you won't just hear your soul. Well, you'll live it. You'll walk into the world carrying a power that can't be taken from you, because it doesn't come from the world. It comes from within. The world will always be loud, but the strongest voice you will ever hear is the one inside you. Listen to it. When the body goes silent, the soul doesn't just speak, it shouts the truth you've been searching for all along. Silence isn't the absence of life, it's the beginning of truly living.